Hello everyone, my name is Kitetsu and welcome back to my channel. So it's been a pretty busy day for Warhammer updates. In fact, it's been quite a busy week with all these leaks going on, and now this evening we've literally just had an FAQ come through, which is pretty much changing quite a lot of stuff, and it's probably going to take me quite a while to go through each and every one of these changes and work out what the significance of them all are. But we've basically got updates to Chaos, Death, Destruction, Order, the rules in general, some of the, I think these are Forge World models, so I don't really know a huge amount about those. Sounds like something fun to look up though. And then all of the Compendium War Scrolls have got their updates on here as well, because I believe they're not going to include these in the new Generals Handbook 2017 anymore. Not quite sure why, maybe to save space, I don't know, maybe Games Workshop are slowly trying to phase them out. I'm really not sure, but strange nonetheless. But yeah, for this video I kind of wanted to look at the SYLVANETH updates, and I'm going to include a link to this page in the description of the video down below, so if you want to find this or you can't find it, it will be there for you to have a look at your leisure. Yeah, obviously from my video I've put up this morning, people who've watched that will know that I am a fan of SYLVANETH, so that's kind of where I'm going to focus this video on. There's been not too much, only a couple of little tweaks, and they're actually quite exciting. Like, they're not major, they're not huge, they're not game-changing. Well, they are game-changing, of course they're game-changing, but they're not gonna, like, revolutionise the army, but they're things that I'm really pleased have been addressed. One thing that I think Games Workshop don't really do often enough is clarify things. Like, I wish they would do this more regularly, and maybe if these FAQs are going to come out sort of once a year, that would be brilliant. Some of the things, well, especially one of the things that they have updated, I'm kind of shocked they've taken this long to address it, because there are so many posts. So many people have asked Games Workshop on their Facebook. It's like stumped people, for even myself, for a long time. So I'm glad they've kind of got round to it now, but they took their sweet time doing it. So if we go down to FAQs order and scroll over here to SYLVANETH, these are the two changes that have been made. So the first one, and the one I'm most pleased that they've done, and the one I keep referring to, is the one for Dryka Hammerdreth. So if you go to her model, first of all, I guess, and hang on a minute, let me zoom in on this. You'll see that she can have these little bugs on her arms, which are called the Swarm of Flitter Furies, or I think this picture maybe showed, yeah, here we go. Or you can give her these, which are her Swarm of Squirmlings. And the gameplay difference of which one you equip her with is quite significant. So if we quickly open up her War Scroll, you see they're basically range attacks here. Flitter Furies, Colony of Flitter Furies, sorry, and Swarm of Squirmlings. They give these the most ridiculous names to remember, but never mind. So the Flitter Furies are basically the swarms that come out of her, and here we go. When she attacks, roll 10 dice for each unit within the range shown on the damage table. So, like most units, as she suffers wounds, the range decreases, as you might expect. So, full health, you pick every unit within 18 inches, you roll 10 dice for each unit, and every 6 you roll, that unit suffers a mortal wound. Seems kind of simple, right? But what it doesn't specify is if that includes just the enemy models or the friendly ones too. And people have basically been calling her like this crazy, almost like suicide attacker who just runs in, and it doesn't even specify that it doesn't include herself. So people have been literally taking this wording to mean that not only does she attack friendly units within the range shown on the table, she also attacks herself, which to me was always ridiculous because I kind of prefer the second ability anyway, just from personal preference, but why would you pick an option where she basically hurts herself? Because people, and I get their logic, they were saying, well, for each unit within the range shown, and from other abilities you read about, obviously they quite often include themselves when it says something like this, because, well, she's a unit, and she is a unit within 18 inches of herself, so it kind of made sense. Just one thing to note as well here is it does say she does not fight alone, however, she is the very embodiment of blah 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 blah. Her form plays host to either a colony of Flitter Furies or a swarm of Squirmlings. So you can either have one or the other. You can't actually take her into battle with both, which I always found a little bit annoying because, you know, if you wanted to take this, you kind of end up sticking the little Flitter Furies actually on the model. So basically that was the issue. The other ability I actually prefer, just really quickly. Let's remind ourselves what that does. So pick an enemy unit, roll a dice for each model in that unit that is within 10 inches. So it's automatically got a 10-inch range. You roll a dice for every model, and for each result equal to the damage table, they take a mortal wound. So when she hasn't taken any damage, say you've got a unit of 20 Skaven in front of you, you literally roll 20 dice, and for every 3+, they're dead. That's amazing. That's really cool. But I was just always so disappointed with this, and there was never any proper clarification as to whether it was a typo, whether it should have included herself, whether it should have included friendly models. But based on the wording, I had to agree with people. In this wording, it does include herself, and it does include the friendly units around her. So with the update, where is it? Here we go. Change the second sentence to, when she attacks with her colony of Flitter Furies, roll 10 dice for each enemy unit in the range shown on the damage table. So the key word here is enemy unit. Does that actually make sense? When she attacks with her colony of Flitter Furies, roll 10 dice for each enemy unit in the range shown on the damage table. I don't think that is meant to be there, unless I'm being stupid, but whatever. But the key point is enemy unit. So they finally clarified this age-long debate of whether Dryke Hammerdreth attacks herself, which was really stupid because, I mean, these things are living in her body, okay? So she's a host, she's like a hive, a living hive. If they're already living in her body, why would they harm her when she releases them? It kind of just didn't really make sense, and I wasn't a fan of that. So that's update number 1. The second one is also a little bit cryptic in that I kind of had to draw this out to understand what was going on. But basically it affects Ground Shaking Stomp, and this is something that is taken by, it's an ability that Tree Lord Ancients have, normal Tree Lords have, and the Spirit of Durthu has. So Ground Shaking Stomp reads, at the start of the combat phase, the Tree Lord, or the Ancient, or the Durthu, this happens to be the Tree Lord Ancient one, stomps the ground, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of this model. On a roll of 4 or more, the unit is knocked off their feet by the impact and must subtract 1 from all hit rolls in that combat phase as they regain their footing. Now, the updated wording says, change the first sentence to, at the start of the combat phase, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of any models with this ability. So not this model, but any models with this ability. And I think what they've actually done here is they've basically kind of given the ability a bit of a nerf, because I was trying to draw this out to get it in my head. I was like, what difference does it make? But I think what they're actually doing is they're stopping you from stacking the ability. So in the previous wording, if you had this scenario here, where you had a little plague monk, and you've got your 2 different tree lords, and this blue circle represents a 3-inch radius, diameter, radius, definitely radius. I'm not very good with maths, but you could stomp with the ancient, and he would have to, if you were successful, you would have to subtract 1 from your hit rolls. Okay, I don't know what this guy hits on, probably a 4, so he'd be now on a 5 up, I assume. And then you would roll your dice for the other tree lord, and you could potentially get him to a 6 up. Now, that in my book seems a little bit excessive, so I think what they've done is you have to ask yourself, when you look at this, what is he, a plague priest? That's the one. When you look at this plague priest, is he within 3 inches of any models with this ability? And you'd say, yes, he is. He's within 3 inches of this model and this model. But you only get to roll a single dice, because you roll a dice. And if you then looked across the other side of the board, you would then have these plague monks here within 3 inches of a different character with this ability. So you would roll a dice for them too. So I hope I've explained that well, but you basically just do not stack. You ask yourself, is this model within 3 inches... Sorry, is this enemy unit... In this case it's a model, but hey. Is this enemy unit within 3 inches of any models with this ability? If yes, you roll a dice. Okay? If we had 2 models within 3 inches, I think... Oh, hang on. Copy, paste. There we go. Send to back. What you would do is... Now you've got 2 models, so for each enemy unit, so this one and this one, you would roll a dice for each of them, because they are both within 3 inches of models with this ability. And then the second unit at the back here, you would just roll as you would anyway, roll a single dice for them. So that's kind of confusing, and again, in typical wording, they make things confusing. Typical Games Workshop, they actually write an FAQ that almost needs its own FAQ, and I can see a lot of people getting confused about this, and I think there's a possible chance that even I have got this wrong. So if I have, please put it down in the comments below, because it's not easy deciphering these rules. They're surprisingly cryptic and wordy and far more open to interpretation than they should be. That reminds me, I wish they would at some point... Oh, leaning on the keyboard there. I wish at some point they would update the unit description over here, because even now people get so confused with what weapons units can have. Like it seems to very clearly say on some units you can only arm them with, say, spears and shields, or swords and shields. You can't mix the spears and the swords, and it's the same thing here with the colony or the swarm. You have either. So I wish they would make that a little bit more clear to some people, because beginners really seem to trip up on that. And I have a friend who I've just persuaded to get into AOS, and even he was like, well, can I not just mix them? And it's like, well, no, you can't. Don't really see why, but I guess they're just trying to keep things more simple for balance reasons. But yeah, basically that is the update for Sylvaneth. It's quite a minor update, but nevertheless, I am exceedingly happy about the Dryker one. If you watched my video this morning, you will know that I'm planning on actually taking Dryker as my main general for my 1000 point Vanguard list. So for me, it's excellent that I get more options, and she now doesn't kill herself and everyone around her on my own team. So that's really cool. I think in terms of other unit updates, I did see that when you scroll down to Wood Elves, I think it was the Treekin. Let's have a look. Treekin, yes, they are now no longer a Sylvaneth keyword, and that's really bizarre. So, hey, I guess they've just taken that unit out. I don't know if that's a mistake, but again, the models are quite dated. I mean, they've got their kind of charm for being retro looking, but I kind of want to keep my models looking a little bit newer. That's another whole video in itself, really. I mean, the models when I was significantly younger that I used to think looked incredible now really don't look that good, and I would include a lot of these Wood Elf models. This was the army I used to collect. As an aside, I used to absolutely love Wood Elves. And as another aside, I actually have this model, and still in metal, which last time I looked on eBay was worth a lot of money, like over £100 I think. And mine's all still like all boxed up perfectly. But yep, anyway, I'm ranting about things that aren't important. So yep, that's the Sylvaneth update. I think there were a few questions that were addressed in the FAQ about, here we go, Wildwoods. Haven't really looked at this in too much detail, but okay, this is saying basically, I already knew about this, but when you set up a Wildwood, it says that each Citadel wood needs to be within 1 inch of both of the other woods. So what they are saying, I think what they are asking is, can you set up the Wildwoods in a line? And the answer is no, they have to be in a clump. So, for example, if we really quickly illustrate this, if here was your Wildwood, number 1, there's number 2, oh, too many Wildwoods, there's number 3, you can't set them up like this, because these two are not within the right distance of each other, they have to be more like this. Okay, so I think that's what they're asking. It's a very long-worded way of saying it. So they need to be within 1 inches, or can it be set up within 1 inches of... Yeah, exactly. That's what they're saying. Can they be in a row, or must they be in a clump? And it says very clearly, each must be set up within 1 inch of the other ones, i.e. it must be in a clump. The other one is saying about the Silent Communion ability of the Tree Lord Ancient. And it says that the new Wildwoods must be set up 3 inches away from other models. Does this include scenery models already on the battlefield when the ability is used? Yes, it does. Note that the Citadel Woods which make up the new Wildwood must be placed within 1 inch of each other as normal. Okay, so basically it's saying you literally can't put it 3 inches, like within 3 inches of anything on the board. So that's quite clear. That's quite simple, and obviously it says quite clearly here that you still follow this rule as well. There's actually more down here than I thought in the FAQs. We've also got, can a branch wraith summon dryads without any Sylvaneth Wildwoods? I haven't actually looked at... I don't tend to use the branch wraith myself. Let's have a quick look. Branch. Here we go. Branch wraith. Funnily enough, this actually was the original Dryker model. I still have one made of metal. So Which one are we looking at? So here we go. If cast successfully, set up a unit of 2d6 dryads more than 3 inches from an enemy and fully within a Sylvaneth wildwood that's within 12 inches of the caster. So someone asked, can you summon the dryads without the Sylvaneth wildwoods? To be honest, I'm surprised they even asked that question, because it very clearly says that they have to be fully within a Sylvaneth wildwood. Like, that's not even open to like interpretation, so that's a weird one. But at least they've cleared it up for the people who are confused. That's the important thing. And I thought I saw something over here. Here we go. The Gnarlroot Wargrove Seeker of Knowledge ability allows a Gnarlroot Treelord Ancient, Branch Witch, or Branch Wraith to cast and unbind extra spells. Does this ability affect only one or all such models in the War Scroll Battalion? I don't even have to read that to know that answer. It's going to affect all of them, because it says... Oh, I see where maybe the confusion came in. I never actually read it in that way, because it says a, that, or that. But yeah, I would have read it as all of them. So again, good job that they've cleared that up. I think there were a few other FAQs relating to movement through scenery, but you know, I don't think they're too pressing to address. I think this more or less covers everything that Sylvaneth players really need to know. Did actually notice there's something new about I think Eternal Guard. Yeah, here we go. But again, I probably want to talk about them, as I mentioned this morning, in another video, because they're insanely good. Like, they are going to be in Sylvaneth lists, just you wait. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been useful, and yep, stay tuned for more Age of Sigmar updates. I'm really enjoying actually making videos on them, especially when there is so much news coming out so quick. And yep, obviously the Generals Handbook's coming out tomorrow, so go out and buy it. It's going to be worth it. The first one was amazing, so go and look for it. And yep, as I said before, any questions, leave them down below in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Please do leave a like on the video. It really makes my day. And as my channel is really small, please do subscribe. It is very hard to build up any kind of presence on YouTube at the moment. There's so many people doing this stuff, and you know, putting these videos together, you do have to work hard. You have to do a lot of research, and there's a lot of editing that can be involved. You know, the thing I did this morning took so long to make, and I'm glad that I've literally had, I think, about 60 views as of last time I checked, and 3 people had liked it, which is amazing. But yeah, keep up that great work. And you know, I literally had my 50th subscriber today. I'm over the moon with that. I can't actually believe I've got to the big 50. So, you know, keep doing what you guys are doing, and thank you so much. It means a lot to me, and I will see you guys in the next one. You know, hopefully we can break down some more of this at some point. Just as a little kind of extra disclaimer, I'm mostly Sylvaneth and Skaven, Pestilence and Skyr, I guess. So not a huge amount I saw in the Chaos FAQ about changes to Skaven, but obviously quite a lot to talk about in the new Generals Handbook. So I probably won't talk too much about factions that I'm not really interested in. I do have a little bit of an interest in Dispossessed, I think they are, the kind of old school dwarves. I also have a Stormcast Eternal army, and I have a Blades of Khorne army, both of which are quite big. So at some point I'll get round to talking about those, but my main favourite armies are definitely the Sylvaneth and the Skaven. So that'll be my focus. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will speak to you guys in the next one. Thanks.